She didn't show up. That's how it started. No dramatic scene, no chaos, just me standing in a half-buttoned suit at the end of an aisle that suddenly felt way too long. Guests were already seated. My best man kept glancing at his phone like it might explain reality. It didn't. At first I thought she was just late. That was her thing sometimes, running behind, apologizing with that soft laugh that made it impossible to stay mad. I even smiled at a few guests and said, "She's probably stuck in traffic." But then the coordinator stopped pretending. I saw it in her face first. That tight, professional mask cracking. She pulled me aside and asked if I had heard from her. I hadn't. 20 minutes passed. Then 40. People started whispering. I remember thinking, she wouldn't do this. Not her. Not after everything we built. And yet my phone stayed silent. No calls. No texts. Just nothing. And then someone handed me an envelope. No name on it. Just my name written in her handwriting. That was the moment my stomach dropped before I even opened it. I didn't open the envelope right away. I just held it like it was something alive, something that might bite if I got too close. People were still watching me, waiting for instructions I didn't have. My hands were shaking, but I kept smiling. I don't know why. Some stupid reflex, like if I acted normal enough, reality would correct itself. I stepped away from everyone and finally tore it open behind the venue, near the service entrance where the air smelled like garbage and roses at the same time. Inside was one page. No explanation. No apology. Just a few lines in her handwriting. "I can't do this. I'm sorry. Please don't look for me." That was it. No signature. No. "I love you." Nothing that made sense. I read it 3 times like the words might rearrange themselves into something less cruel. They didn't. My first thought wasn't anger. It was disbelief so strong it felt physical, like nausea pressing against my ribs. My second thought was worse. What did I miss? Because people don't just disappear from their own wedding. Unless they already left you long before today. I went back inside like I was sleepwalking. Everyone looked at me immediately. That's the thing about silence in a room full of dressed-up people. It gets loud fast. My best man asked, "What's going on?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. I just kept holding the note like it might explain itself if I squeezed it hard enough. Her parents were there too. I'll never forget her mother's face when she saw mine. She already knew before I said anything. That kind of recognition hurts in a way I can't describe. "She's gone," I finally said. That's all I could manage. The room didn't erupt. It didn't turn dramatic like in movies. It just collapsed inward. Conversations died mid-sentence. Chairs creaked as people stood up uncertainly. Someone asked if there had been an accident. Someone else suggested calling hospitals. I remember shaking my head slowly. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't an accident. This was a decision. And the worst part? I couldn't stop replaying the last time I saw her, 2 nights before, kissing me goodnight like everything was fine. Like she wasn't already halfway out the door. The build-up should have warned me. Looking back, it's obvious. At the time, I just called it stress. She started pulling away months before the wedding. Small things at first. Delayed replies. Busy with work. Becoming her favorite sentence. She used to leave notes in my jacket pockets. Little stupid jokes or grocery lists with hearts drawn next to milk. Those stopped. I told myself it was normal. Wedding planning does that to people, right? Pressure, nerves, family expectations. But there were moments I ignored. A phone she suddenly kept face down. A password changed without explanation. A conversation she muted when I entered the room. She always laughed it off, always had a reason ready. And I believed her. Because I wanted to. One night I asked her if everything was okay. She hugged me too tightly and said, "Of course. I'm just tired." I remember thinking how warm she felt. Now I realize that might have been the last time she fully meant it. The turning point came 3 weeks before the wedding. I came home early from work. It was raining, the kind of heavy city rain that makes everything sound underwater. I remember being in a good mood. I had picked up her favorite dessert. She wasn't home. Her phone was on the kitchen counter. It buzzed once. Then again. I shouldn't have looked. I know that. I know that. But I did. The message preview was enough to freeze me. Are you still going through with it? He doesn't deserve this. No name. Just that. I stood there for a full minute just staring at it, waiting for my brain to give me an alternative explanation. When she came home later, I didn't say anything. I just watched her hang her coat, humming softly like nothing had changed in the world. That night, I asked casually if she was happy. She said yes. But she didn't look at me when she said it. That's when doubt stopped being a whisper and started becoming something louder. I confronted her the next morning, but not directly. I was scared of the answer, so I danced around it like an idiot. Is there someone else? I asked while pretending to make coffee. She actually laughed. Not nervous. Not guilty. Just amused. No. Where is this coming from? And I believed her again. God, I hate admitting that. She came behind me and wrapped her arms around my waist like she always did. Kissed my shoulder. Said I was overthinking things. And I let it go. But the seed was planted. Because now I was watching everything. Every pause before she answered a question. Every time her phone lit up and she turned away instinctively. Still, I didn't find proof. Just patterns that didn't sit right. And I told myself love means trust. What I didn't understand is that trust without truth is just blindness you choose willingly. The week before the wedding felt like walking through fog. She was distant again, but softer about it. Almost tender in a way that confused me more. Like she was trying to be kind while already leaving. Her family visited. My family visited. Everyone talked about seating charts and flowers and honeymoon plans. She smiled through all of it. I kept catching her staring at nothing, like she was watching a life she wasn't part of anymore. One night I woke up and she wasn't in bed. I found her on the balcony, barefoot, holding her phone. She was crying quietly. When I asked what was wrong, she wiped her face fast and said, "Just overwhelmed." I almost believed that too. Almost. But something inside me started preparing for impact, even if I didn't know what it was yet. Because you don't cry like that over stress. You cry like that when you're already gone, and just haven't left yet physically. I found out the truth by accident. Not through confession. Not through courage. Through silence. Her phone unlocked itself one morning while she was in the shower. A message thread was open. And there it was. Everything I didn't want to see. There was someone else. Not just emotionally. Not just. Confusing feelings. History. Months of it. Calls, plans, meetings. And worse, talk about us. About me. He's good, but it's not real anymore. I remember my hand going cold. I didn't even hear the shower stop. When she walked into the room and saw my face, she didn't ask what I saw. She just stood there. That was the confirmation. No denial. No panic. Just exhaustion. Like she'd been waiting for this moment, and was finally relieved it arrived. The confrontation wasn't loud. That surprised me the most. I expected screaming. I expected tears. I expected answers that would make it hurt less or more or anything other than this numb clarity. Instead, she sat on the edge of the bed and said, "I didn't know how to stop it." That sentence still echoes in my head. I asked her how long. She told me. And it felt like the ground shifted under me. Months of planning a wedding while building another life in parallel. I kept asking why. She kept saying, "I don't know." Which might have been the most honest thing she said. Because there was no single reason. Just drift. Just emotional erosion I didn't notice until it was already irreversible. And I realized something horrifying. I had been loving a version of her that had already left me long before I ever saw it coming. After that conversation, something in me broke in a quiet way. Not dramatic. Not cinematic. Just final. We didn't call off the wedding immediately. Somehow, it still felt unreal enough that no one outside our apartment knew. We moved through the motions like actors stuck in a scene that no longer made sense. She slept in the guest room. I stopped eating properly. We barely spoke. Her presence in the apartment felt like a ghost I wasn't ready to acknowledge. At night I would hear her moving around, packing small things, then stopping. Like she was rehearsing leaving. And I didn't stop her. That's the part one hates most. I think part of me wanted her to decide it fully on her own, so I wouldn't have to be the one to end something I spent years building. The morning of the wedding was strangely normal at first. Sunlight through the curtains. Silence in the kitchen. Coffee I couldn't finish. She was gone before I woke up. I thought maybe she went to get hair and makeup done early. That was my first rationalization. Then I saw the note. And everything after that was just collapse. I kept replaying the apartment in my head, what she took, what she left behind. It felt like evidence of a crime I couldn't classify. Her toothbrush was gone. Her ring was still on the counter. That detail destroyed me more than anything else. Because it meant she made a choice before the ceremony even mattered. And I was still there getting dressed like an idiot believing in a future that had already been cancelled in her mind. The aftermath was brutal in ways I didn't expect. People don't know how to treat a man left at the altar. They oscillate between pity and curiosity. Some stopped calling altogether. Her family tried to reach me, but I couldn't answer. I went back to work after a week and pretended everything was normal. It wasn't. I started forgetting basic things. Eating became optional. Sleep was fragmented. I kept the note in my wallet for months like proof it actually happened. Friends tried to get me out of the house. I said yes sometimes, then didn't show up. Every conversation eventually circled back to one question. Did she say why? No. She didn't. And somehow that absence of explanation hurt more than betrayal itself. Because I couldn't even assign meaning to the loss. Eventually, I tried to contact her. Not to get her back. Just to understand. She replied once. Only once. I'm sorry. I can't talk about it. Please move on. That was it. No closure. No accountability. Just distance reinforced by choice. I stared at that message for hours. Then I didn't reply. Because what was there to say? I thought about the person I was before all this. How easily I trusted. How completely I believed in. Forever. It feels embarrassing now, like I was naive in a way that should have been obvious. But I don't think it was stupidity. It was investment. And I invested everything into someone who was already withdrawing silently. Years later, I still catch myself replaying small moments. Her laugh in the kitchen. The way she used to rest her head on my shoulder while watching TV. The ordinary things that feel like traps now. I dated someone briefly after her. It didn't last. Not because of comparison exactly, but because I couldn't stop waiting for the moment everything would quietly collapse again. Trust doesn't come back clean. It comes back fractured, cautious, incomplete. And I don't know if I ever fully rebuilt mine. Sometimes I wonder where she is now. If she thinks about that day. If she remembers the note the same way I do. Or if, for her, it's just something she survived and moved past. For me, it became a dividing line in my life. Before and after. Nothing in between. I still have no satisfying ending to this. No apology that fixed anything. No explanation that made it make sense. Just a wedding that never happened and a life that had to quietly reroute itself around that absence. People always want a lesson. A moral. A clear takeaway. I don't have one. Love didn't fail me. She didn't even fail me in a simple way. She just left. And I was the last person to know. Sometimes I think that's the real wound, not the betrayal, not even the abandonment, but the realization that someone can be completely gone long before they physically disappear. And you can still be standing there, smiling, thinking you're building a future with them.